everyone, I'm Lara. I'm a dual Canadian-British national and I moved to British Columbia, Canada with my husband Rich and our 2 dogs in November 2022 and we're absolutely loving every minute. I don't know what happened with my hair there, but yeah, we're loving every minute and thank you for joining me on this channel today. So for today's video, I wanted to just kind of have like a casual sit down chatty video, just talking through our travel day and landing in Canada and just basically how our travel day went. A little bit of background on the landing interview. My husband and I did the Outland spousal sponsorship. I was the sponsor and my husband was the applicant. So yeah, just kind of like a rough talk through how his landing interview went, but I'm going to do a whole video on the process and like helpful tips, so I won't go into detail too much, but yeah, just wanted to have a little casual video and just talk through our travel day and how we found the experience of moving to Canada with like 8 suitcases or something like that. But let's go back and start from the beginning. So I guess our travel day actually began on Friday the 18th of November 2022. Our flight from Heathrow wasn't until Saturday the 19th of November, but we chose to stay overnight at a hotel at Heathrow. It's something we quite often do when we're going away and flying early. Our flight wasn't particularly early, but obviously when it's a moving day and you're moving country, it's going to be stressful enough. We had so many bags, which I'll get into in a minute. So yeah, we just wanted to stay the night before and just take it a bit easy the night before. So the travel day began on Friday the 18th of November. I referenced having a lot of suitcases. We had 10 large check-in cases, 4 of the kind of like large size carry-on suitcases, and then 4 hand luggage bags, so like a backpack or a laptop bag, and then 2 extra large dog crates. So in my intro I said it was my husband and 2 dogs that moved to Canada with me. My mum and dad did also move. My mum's Canadian and my dad's British, so that's how I have my dual nationality. I'm a mix of the 2. But yeah, they also moved with us, so their 10 bags are included in this. That's why there were 10, but yeah, we had all these bags, all these dog cages. Speaking about dogs, I'm sorry if you can hear my dog snoring in the background. So my husband's parents, my parents-in-law, rented a massive van so that we could fit all of our luggage into it. I also didn't reference my mum's in a wheelchair, so we had her wheelchair as well. So yeah, they rented a big van and they stayed overnight at Heathrow with us. So we loaded everything into the van and we drove to Heathrow. So we stayed at the Staybridge Suites at Heathrow Terminal 2 and I would really recommend them. They were so clean, they're so spacious, they're, as the name implies, suites, so you have a lot of space. And yeah, it was just a nice base to have the night before we flew. So we got there at about 6 o'clock and had dinner with Richard's parents, which was really nice, and then a relatively early night after a couple of drinks, of course, to celebrate. And yeah, that was the Friday. So just another little bit of information here. I'm not going to go into this into too much detail because it's going to fall into a category of a different video that I'm going to film. But we took our 2 dogs with us. Only 1 dog was permitted in the hold per flight, so we had to fly both dogs on 2 different flights on different days. So Richard, my mum and I, and one of our dogs, Piper, flew on Saturday, and my dad flew the following day with our other dog on the Sunday. So I just want to quickly reference that, but I'm not going to go into the reasons of that too much because that's going to fall under a video of helpful tips and advice in the process of moving dogs from the UK to Canada. But yeah, just wanted to put that there. So on our travel day, which was Saturday the 19th of November, Richard, mum and I had 7 large check-in cases, 3 slightly bigger cabin bags, and then 3 additional handbags, 1 extra large dog cage, and mum's wheelchair. So we had a lot of stuff, and thankfully, and you know, like so grateful for it, Richard's mum and dad stayed with us until like check-in, so basically as far as they could go until security, to help us with all the bags and getting everything checked in. Sorry about my phone because it was just absolutely crazy. We just wouldn't have been able to do it on our own. We only had 2 hands, a wheelchair, 7 bags, 3 other suitcases, 3 handbags and a dog cage just would have been impossible. So we arrived at the check-in desk at about 9:45 in the morning. Our flight wasn't until 2 o'clock, but when you're flying with dogs, they say that you need to arrive half an hour early, and the check-in for the flight opened 4 hours early, so we assumed that meant arriving 4.5 hours early. Yeah, check-in, thankfully, to Richard's mum and dad helping us with all the bags was quite smooth. Again, I'm not going to go into massive detail on checking in the dogs because that's going to come under another video. But our dog Piper, basically she had to go to like a separate baggage area, but she didn't need to be there until 11:30, so that was nice because we actually had like a little bit of additional time with her, which we didn't think we were going to have. Obviously we couldn't go through security until we had taken her to this baggage bit, so there's a pub before security at Terminal 2 which we sat at. They were really accommodating with us having the dog, which was really nice, and we had a glass of fizz and toasted our new adventures, and that's where everything kind of started to really kick in. I was feeling a lot more relaxed at that point because I felt a lot better about just the whole process of like checking in the dogs and everything, and it was just starting to feel so real, and it was such a great feeling. We'd said goodbye to Richard's mum and dad at that point, which was our last goodbye, and you know, something we weren't looking forward to, and so to have that done, you know, that hard bit done, it was just looking forward to everything, and it was such a good feeling. I wish I could go back and feel that feeling over and over again. But I say the excitement started to kick in, which it did, but there were still a lot of stresses to come along the way. Let's not pretend that there weren't, because there were. So 11:30 rolled round, we had to go and officially, I guess, check in Piper again. This will all be in a different video because some people watching this video might not be bringing dogs, so they don't need to know about the whole process. So yeah. We checked in Piper, and then we ourselves went through security. That was really quick for us because we were with my mum in a wheelchair, so we kind of fast-tracked everything. So yeah, security was a breeze and we were through fine, no hiccups or anything. You know, like sometimes your bag goes onto the other bit where they have to check it and you start panicking because you have no idea why and you feel guilty even though you know there's nothing wrong. None of that happened, everything was fine, so that was good because we wouldn't have needed that on travel day. So yeah, that was, oh actually it did, I think maybe my cabin bag actually did get pulled aside to the other bit, and it's because my liquid bag was underneath like clothes, so it didn't register it or something. It was resolved really, really quickly because he just said like, next time just put this on top. But yeah, no, now I remember it. There was just that. But that wasn't a big deal. It was like, as I said, it was resolved really quickly. So yeah, security was fine. And then something we did do, which Richard's dad had helped us with the night before, was we booked a lounge at Heathrow Terminal 2. I can't remember the exact name of what one it is because obviously there's quite a few there, but I'll find out and I will leave the link to it below. It wasn't too expensive. It was like maybe £35 per person, and we mainly booked it because we knew we had my mum in the wheelchair, and like walking around Heathrow Terminal 2 and like trying to find somewhere to sit down and all that would have just been a nightmare. So we mainly did it because of that, but I would actually highly recommend on your travel day booking one of those lounges because you can just go there and just chill out for like an hour or two, you know, like you can grab food which is included in the price you paid, have a drink if you want to, which is included in the price you paid. They've got like cans of Diet Coke, bottles of water, you can take a couple of those to take on your flight because you've obviously already been through security. And I think when you're moving country and it's your travel day, you've got such a stressful day anyway, I think to just take off some of the stress and just to be able to go somewhere and just sit in a lounge like that and just chill a little bit before your flight is really helpful. So I would really recommend doing something like that on your travel day. Just from personal experience, it just made it a little, you know, all a little bit smoother, and we just had like that hour and a half where we could just chill out a little bit. So then 1 o'clock rolled around, which meant it was time to check in, and so we went to the travel gate to check in. And something I forgot to mention when we were checking in our bags was they said it was quite a full flight, so they were taking extra check-in, you know, extra cabin cases in the hold. So we checked my mum's one and Richard's one in, but I hung on to mine because I think she missed it, and we were like, it doesn't matter, I'll just hang on to it, which is why my mum was the only one that went through security. That all makes sense. But yeah, when we were waiting to check in for our flight, they kind of said over on the check-in desk that they were taking more bags if people wanted to check in their cabin bags. So I looked at Rich and I said, look, we might as well, it's one less thing that we have to carry. So I started queuing up to check in my cabin bag, and it was so funny because like this maintenance guy kind of came up from the tunnel where you board the plane and said to the lady at the check-in desk, no more cabin bags in the hold, we've got a dog in the hold. And I was thinking, oh my god, that's Piper, that's my dog. It's like a big worry of flying our dogs was like, you know, the concern if they were going to get boarded and stuff, but I'll go into that in a minute. But yeah, I was thinking, oh, that's my dog. And the lady was like looking at her notes and she was like, no, I don't have a dog on this plane, there's no dog on this flight. And he was like, there is. And she was like, no, there's definitely not a dog on the flight. I haven't been told anything about a dog on the flight. And I just went, not in a rude way at all, I just went, oh, there is a dog on the flight, it's my dog. And they were like, oh, it's your dog, that's crazy. But that was quite a nice like interaction there. But yeah, just wanted to mention that. So on these bigger aircrafts and longer haul flights, they call you up by your seat number, don't you? You board by your seat number, whereas like flights like EasyJet and Ryanair, you just queue up. So yeah, we waited for our seat number to be called. We were called quite quickly because we had the extra legroom seats at the front of economy because of my mum being in the wheelchair. And yeah, they called us and we went up, and on the booking I had requested assistance because obviously my mum's in a wheelchair, she can't walk at all, she's not mobile at all, and I stated that she needs, like, she's not mobile, she's travelling with a companion, but she will need assistance getting onto the plane. But because at check-in we didn't say anything about this, because it was in the notes, I just assumed that they knew. And obviously at check-in we were so busy doing like the paperwork for our dog and checking in all these bags that we didn't mention it, but we just assumed that, you know, it would be known. But when we got there, they didn't actually know anything about it, like that my mum would need assistance getting onto the plane and stuff. So they kept us aside and said, look, we will get it sorted out for you, but you're going to have to be the last ones to board. And we were like, that's fine, it doesn't matter, there's no rush to get on the plane, you just sit on there anyway. So we just waited to one side to board, and where we were waiting you could actually see, like, there's like a little window and you could see the plane and like all the luggage being loaded. And while we were waiting to board the plane, we saw Piper in her little cage going up onto the plane, and we were like, oh look, there she is. And like you could see the little outline of her head, like looking around like, what the hell is going on? But it was such a nice feeling to like bless her heart, and like knowing that she had actually been, you know, like she was getting loaded onto the plane. And the maintenance guy who was at the check-in desk, I saw him like speaking to the captain in the cabin, so I assumed that was probably going to be to do with our dog Piper. And then when he came out, he recognised me again, and he was like, he had a bottle of water and he said, oh, does your dog have a bowl in her cage? And I said, yeah, she does. And he said, I'm going to go and fill that up now for you. So that was really nice, just knowing, like, you know, that he recognised me, remembered that it was my dog, and just having that reassurance that she was going to have water on the plane and everything. And so yeah, that was really sweet. And then not long after that, assistance did come to get my mum onto the plane. And because her wheelchair is too wide to fit down the airplane aisle, they had to do it on like one of those special narrow wheelchairs. Obviously we had to get her from her wheelchair onto that one, so Rich did all the manual lifting to get her on. And yeah, we flew with Air Canada. I don't know if I actually mentioned that, I don't think I did, sorry. And we flew with Air Canada, and all the staff were like amazing with assisting my mum, and you know, if we needed anything they were like just shout and everything. So yeah, they were all good. Sorry, I realised they were all good. That sounds a bit weird. I think I meant to say that was all good. They were obviously amazing. They were better than good. It's just the way I talk, and I'm still not used to talking to the camera, so yeah, sorry about that. And then it was time for takeoff. And then that's where things went a little bit downhill for about the first 2.5 hours. My mum was she just wasn't really in a very good way. She was really shaky and sweaty, so sweaty. And like, she was acting in a very similar way to how she acts when she's going to be sick. And I thought, oh my God, this is going to be an absolute nightmare of a flight, because she has got travel sick before in the car and she hadn't flown in years, and we'd forgotten to give her travel sickness pills, which was our bad. But there was so much going on that we just forgot to. Just for a bit of background here, I think I've mentioned it a few times on this channel before. My mum very sadly has dementia, early onset dementia. When her and my dad did the spousal sponsorship too, when they first started their process, my mum's mental well-being was a lot better. You know, like she could communicate, she could sign papers, she could understand what she was signing, what was being asked of her. During the application process, she unfortunately declined quite quickly and became completely immobile, which is, you know, why there were the struggles that there were flying. I just wanted to quickly put that in there. But yeah, anyway, back to what I was saying. Because obviously where she can't communicate, she can't tell me what's wrong. And there are sick bags on the plane, but if she was to be sick, there'd be no guarantee that I would catch it in the bag in time. I don't know how much sick she would have. And oh my God, I just couldn't relax. It was a mix of that and wondering how little Piper was getting on in the hold, because we crate trained them quite a lot leading up to the flight, and Piper didn't cope well with being in the crate at all. This will all be referenced in my Moving Dogs to Canada video, but yeah, just stress for the first 2.5 hours. But we moved after, I guess, about an hour. My mum kind of seemed like she was slipping out of her seat a little bit, so Richard and I did change the position that she was in, and she kind of instantly calmed down and went to sleep. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't a very good flight. I didn't enjoy it. I knew I wasn't gonna enjoy it. There was just too much stress going on, and it went by so slowly. So slowly. I couldn't really relax and watch films or anything. I was just constantly going from worrying about mum to worrying about Piper, and I just wanted to land and I wanted it to be over. But sooner or later, it was over and we landed in Vancouver. So as with boarding, we were also the last ones off the plane because we needed assistance in getting my mum off. And because we were the last ones off, as with boarding and seeing things being loaded onto the plane, we could see things being loaded off of the plane, and we saw Piper be like driven off to the terminal, and we were like, oh, she's here. So that was really nice. But yeah, the people that assisted us with getting mum off the plane were really, really helpful as well. And it didn't take long to get through passports at all. So Rich had to go in the visitors aisle, even though he's got permanent residency. This was him landing in Canada for the first time, so he went off into that aisle. My mum and I have Canadian passports, so we went off in a different aisle. And we were seen quicker than Rich because there was less of a queue for Canadians as opposed to visitors. I met with a border officer guy. I'm just going to briefly explain this because it's again going to be in the dog video, but he just asked what the animal products I was bringing into Canada was. I said it was my dog. He was really helpful and said, oh yeah, no worries, she'll be on this conveyor belt over here, and then you just have to go through customs and they'll check the paperwork there. I was like, great, thank you, thanks so much. Went and got Piper, and it was so nice to be reunited with her because I was just so worried the whole time that because obviously my dogs are Cavalier King Charles Spaniels and they're prone to heart problems, and my main thing was oh my God, what if they get so stressed on the flight that they have a heart attack or something like that. And just to see her in her cage and for her to be safe and well, it was such a nice feeling. But I still couldn't fully relax because I know my other dog Molly had to go through it the next day, so I was still worrying until the next day. But yeah, so nice to be reunited with her. And then all our bags came out quite quickly, which was good, and Rich had to go and do his official landing interview and paperwork, so we waited for him. I would say we were probably waiting about 45 minutes, and because I'm not the one that did the landing interview, I need Rich to remind me of what was asked of him, but I don't think it was too much. They asked if any personal details have changed, if you're still married, and I think it's just basic things like that, but I will double check with him. But as I said, this will be in a more in-depth video of the whole process of the spousal sponsorship. This is just kind of like a rundown of our travel day. So yeah, after about 45 minutes, we were all reunited and we went through customs, and that's where they just checked our paperwork for the dogs. We had to pay a certificate fee. I can't remember what the certificate is, but it might be an importing certificate or a health check or something like that. But yeah, we did that, and then we walked through Vancouver, collected our hire car, which was all really quick, no problems with that, and then we drove to our Airbnb. So yeah, that's a wrap up of our travel day and how it all went, and now we're here. And all the stress was totally worth it. Yeah, I'd hope that was interesting. Obviously everybody's travel day is going to be so different, and I just thought it would be quite interesting to share it because I'd be so interested to hear how other people's travel days went and everything. Yeah, ours was such a mix of excitement and stress and relief to just finally land in Vancouver, but the main relief didn't come until the next day when my dad and Molly arrived safely, but they both did. And yeah, we're now here. Been here for over 2 months and we absolutely love our life here. We knew it was going to be the best decision we ever made, and it 100% is. So yeah, I hope this was interesting. I'm sorry if it was a bit rambly. I will get more used to filming and talking to the camera. It just still feels a bit foreign to me at the moment, but hopefully I will get better. So the next video I'm going to be filming and uploading is a kind of wrap up of our first month in Canada. That will be uploaded quite shortly after this one, but I am very late in filming this because we've now passed 2 months in Canada and I haven't yet filmed our 1 month wrap up in Canada video. It will be coming soon after this one. So that's all for today's video. Please consider subscribing and following my other social media platforms listed below for more Canada content. I'm Lara, this is Our Life in Canada, and until next time, take care. Bye.